Welcome to Soulfire Wisdom with Kate Olson. As an evolving spirit and change adventure navigator, it is Kate's mission to empower and guide you on your path and inspire your truest passions. She will encourage you to share your gifts, speak your truth, and ignite your inner wisdom and purpose. She hopes to do so with a little humor and grace and her own soulfire passion. Kate talks with amazing guests who have embraced the pursuit and are fanning the flames of their own passion, purpose, and soulfire wisdom. Now, here's your host, Kate.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Soulfire Wisdom and Tips, Tricks, and Triumphs Tuesday. So, if this is your first time listening, I'm a hypnotherapist, a life coach, a Reiki master, and an NLP practitioner. But I like to call myself a change adventure navigator because I love guiding clients through obstacles and adversity to find their path, purpose, and peace, and maybe a little soulfire wisdom along the way. So today I want to talk, in honor of Valentine's Day, I want to talk a little bit about the most important love relationship we have in our lives. And this little tip is motivated by something a client said to me a few days ago. She said that this time of year is always really sad to her, or that it is recently really sad for her because she doesn't have anyone in her life to love.
Oh, that's really good.
And I felt immediately bad for her, but then I thought she's just totally wrong about that. Because we always do have somebody in our life to love. And the most important person that we can love and need to love before really that we're even ready for a relationship with another person is ourself. And so if you don't have someone in your life um, to share love with at this time, put a little extra effort into loving yourself and doing things to let yourself know that you are loved. Uh, at Valentine's Day, we do special things for other people in our lives that we love, but we can also do that for ourselves. And when you notice that self talk saying, well, maybe nobody loves me, maybe I'm not good enough, maybe whatever, we often say those things to other people because we want them to say, no, you're wrong. That's not true. And you can do that for yourself too. You can notice when you're saying those ridiculous things and say, hey, stop that. You are good enough. You are lovable. You are loved. So that's my tip for today. We have a great show planned for today. My guests are Kathleen Cavender and Mark Ritter. And I connected with Kathleen, I think, on Facebook. And I've done a soul talk with her before, and I think a radio show. And she's written a blog for me, and it has all centered around creativity. She is a jazz singer and an artist. And so now I'm talking to her about something a little bit different, about her love story. Her and her partner, Mark Ritter, who's a screenwriter from LA, met, I think, 5 or 6 years ago. We'll have to verify that. At a conference, and it was kind of love at first sight, which resulted in Mark moving from LA to Spokane, and then just in 2020, they were planning their dream wedding, and we know what happened. It was postponed a couple of times. So we're going to talk to them about all of that, about their relationship and how things have gone through the pandemic. So I'm so happy to introduce Kathleen Cavender and Mark Ritter. Hi, how are you guys?
Hello.
Hi.
Thanks for having us, Kate. We're honored to be here.
Yes, nice to meet you for the first time, Mark.
Yeah, likewise.
I've seen you on Facebook a lot, but
Yeah, actually speaking human being is a little bit better, hopefully.
yes. So to get started, can you both just tell us a little bit more about yourselves? And then we'll get into some more questions about your relationship.
Yeah, well, that was a wonderful introduction, and I loved what you had said about your friend saying she didn't have anyone to love, and I felt that for some time, and I took up collecting hearts and posting them during February on Facebook. And I even had friends say, you know, your hearts are making me sad because I don't have any love. And at the time, I didn't really have any love either. But by really embracing the love for myself and just love in general, you know, I mean, just love of life and love of everything and everyone, I actually attracted the love of my life. So, yeah, that was really beautiful, Kate, what you had to share. I concur with that 100%. I am an artist and a musician. I'm a jazz singer and a fine artist. And I was married for 38 years, and my late husband died. He was very, very sick for a long time. And I had a couple of years just kind of in limbo. And my son actually sat me down and said, Mom, it's time for you to start dating. And I was like, what? I never really had dated, you know, because I kind of went from mom and dad to, you know, my late husband. And he said, and dating's not like it was, you know, back in the day when you were dating. I'm like, honey, I never really dated. So I don't know what you're even talking about. But needing some income, and really needing a little boost in my energy and feeling better about myself, I was introduced to this company that, you know, I went to the conference, and I'll tell you that story in a minute because that was quite a harrowing experience, but that's where I met this beautiful human being.
Okay. So Mark, what's your story?
In Ann Arbor, Michigan. Wound up going out to Los Angeles to go to college at UCLA. And right out of college, I found myself in New York City. I was involved in the fashion and advertising industry as a model, got pushed into commercials and television and then stage, and never having imagined myself as an actor, but once I got there, I had a really good time with it. And I got to work on some really good movies in New York, which made me want to learn more about film. And I decided to go back to Los Angeles and went back to school at UCLA, which has a wonderful writers program through the UCLA Extension program. And so I studied screenwriting and film production. And so that's what I was doing when I got introduced to the same company, because of looking for something for my mother, and was so pleased with what I found that wanted to join the company and decided to drive to that convention in Salt Lake City.
So I was offered a ride down from Spokane to Salt Lake City. It was in April, and it was 110 degrees out in the desert, a 10-hour drive. The gal who drove me down, her windows didn't roll down. She didn't have any air conditioning, and it was 110 degrees. And she was giving a gentleman a ride, and he had a dog with him who was not well. And so the dog was sick at both ends of his little hot dog body. And it was 110 degrees. The windows didn't roll down. There was no air conditioning, and it was a 10-hour drive. And so by the time I got to Salt Lake City, I was not in a good state of mind, as you can imagine. And I actually wanted to turn around and come home. And so my beautiful roommates were saying, well, come on, we're going to take this tour of the facility where the production facility where the product is made. And I said, I just want a nap. You know, I just came out of this harrowing experience. And they said, well, you know, your ticket's already paid for, you need to come. And so I said, okay, well, I'll get cleaned up and I'll come down. And so they were waiting for me. And I came downstairs, and they said, well, what on earth happened? So I'm telling them.
Go ahead. Did we lose you?
Oh, I get you're popping in and out. We're popping in and out. I'm not sure where that's coming from.
Okay.
Are we back? Can you hear
Just
us?
go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm telling my roommates the story of the 10-hour drive and the little dog. And
Meanwhile, I'm just arriving at the hotel that's right across the street from the convention center. I had just enough time to check in, put on a clean shirt, and hurry to make that same tour. So I'm crossing the street to get over to the convention center side, and I see this pretty woman telling a very animated story. And in the time it took me to cross this, 4 or 5 lane street, I watched these women looking just aghast in horror and almost cringing to laughing hysterically. And I'm thinking, this beautiful woman knows how to tell a story. I have to try and meet her while I'm here.
so I go to get on the bus, not thinking anything of it. And they want me to go ahead and retell the story to everyone we run into. We finally board the bus, and I sit down.
Meanwhile, I had gotten over there and signed in for the bus ride before she had shown up. And I had just been driving for hours. So I thought, well, I'll just stand to the side now. And when it's time to ready to go, I'll hop on the bus. But I see her getting on the bus, and I go, I think it's time to get on the bus. So it had almost filled up. And so I'm walking all the way to the back, and I see her sitting on the left next to the window, and right behind her is an empty seat. She's sitting with someone, one of the women she had told the story to. So I sit down, another woman sits down next to me, and the bus takes off for a 20-minute drive.
And I hear this man behind me talking, and he's talking about how he's taking care of his mother. And at the same time, I was taking care of my mother back in Spokane who was not well. And so I thought, wow, there are people in here that really care about other people. I was so new. We were both brand new to the company. And then I heard him talking about how he was writing a screenplay. And of course, as an artist and a musician, I was very intrigued. And I thought, oh, good, there's people in this company, because I didn't know anybody, that are creative. And so that's good news. That's, I feel comfortable now. And then the bus stops, and we're to onboard the bus. And I stand up, and Mark stands up. He's 6'2". And I looked in his eyes, and it was just like, well, hello. I think I know you. Do I know you? And we had something happened right away. We just we both felt it. And in fact,
Hello? Come back.
and I said, he looks a lot like my second husband. And she said, how many times have you been married? And I said, once. And so we laughed, and we're going into the facility, and he's just elbow to elbow with me. And he asks me where I'm from, and he tells me where he's from. And then he asked how I got there. Did I fly or drive? And I said, I drove. And he said, how was your drive? I said, oh, you don't want to know. And he goes, well, actually, I do. So we sat down next to each other. And throughout the tour of the facility, he's just elbow to elbow with me and being very sweet and likable. And we're in the production facility and like a horseshoe, listening to a speaker. And I excused myself to go to the ladies' room, and I came back and I went to the other side of the room because I didn't want to look like, well, this is all so new to me. So he comes over, slowly saunters over next to me, hands me a bottle of water, whispers in my ear, I noticed you were missing. And I went, oh my gosh, I think he likes me. I mean, again, Kate, this is all so new to me. So we get back on the bus and he's asking me questions, and I hand him my card, and he's looking at my website. He's reading my biography, my resume, looking at my artwork, and telling me he's talking to me about
I'm
art.
going, yay, there's creative people in this company.
And
the same feeling.
And he's having conversation with me that gave me the cue that he understood art. He knew a lot about art and culture. So we just, I got rubbernecked just talking to him. And as everyone is talking about where they're going to dinner that night, I'm sitting there and waiting. And finally he goes, Kathleen, would you like to have dinner with me? And I said, yes, as a matter of fact, I would. So, there we have our first date scheduled. And as we're walking off the bus, he says to me, my daughter's middle name is Kathleen. And I said, really? And he goes, yes, Rachel Kathleen. And I said, my youngest daughter's name is Rachel. And he goes, oh my gosh, something's happening here. I'm scared. And I said, oh, you're cute and funny. I like that. So we went to dinner.
We wound up going just to a place nearby, and it had an outdoor patio section, and it was kind of a nice evening. We decided to sit out there.
Like a bistro.
And all of these people that, the people that had wanted me to come to it from Los Angeles, a big group of them walked by, and then a big group of her people from Spokane walked by. And it was like we were invisible.
They didn't even see us.
Like we were in
or maybe they were invisible.
It could have been. It was, or we were in Brigadoon or something like that.
It was very movie.
Had a steakhouse.
Yeah, it was fun.
Okay, 2 quick questions, you guys,
Yes.
before I forget them. Mark, what kind of screenplays did you write?
Well, I wound up mostly helping other writers improve their own work, and then I wound up doing a couple of creative executive jobs. I worked for a while in development at Paramount Motion Pictures in the mid-90s. Then I got, I also was head of creative affairs for a small production company, a boutique-sized production company. And I often wound up writing with a couple of co-writers and that. And so moving up here, I realized, hey, I'm going to get a chance to actually finally do some things on my own. And I was so intrigued with Spokane, its history and its people. And suddenly I had an idea that was going to allow me to incorporate almost everything I've been interested in my whole life. So it became this smash up. I could only do this because I was deciding to write a binge-worthy show, something for one of the streaming services where the goal is to get someone watching the pilot episode and never turn off the television for a whole season.
So that's what he's working on.
So that's
currently.
that's what I'm working on currently.
Okay, so is it sort of a geographical, biographical kind of thing, or
it's a thing that would fall under the category of science fiction. It's in the immediate future, but it also spans local history going back to the mid-19th century, and on it travels through time.
I was just watching one of those. I haven't watched many of them, many of the streaming things, and I was just watching Firefly Lane, which does that. It jumps around in time and stuff, and it was kind of interesting. So Kathleen,
Yes,
do you have
ma'am.
a cold?
I do. It's not a cold, it's allergies. I think we need to change the filter in the house. I woke up just like allergy-ish.
Okay.
Sorry.
Just wanted to make sure you weren't just
Are you
getting
froze?
all sentimental
she's
there.
Okay. You were frozen
Okay.
a little bit.
Oh, okay. So, so we know how you guys met. So eventually, so after the convention, you went back to Spokane and Mark went back to LA. And I assume you kept corresponding and
we talked like seventh graders on the phone every night for a couple of months until I made the suggestion, why don't I come and visit you? And she said, well, why don't you wait until I get moved? I have to move the weekend I was talking to her about. And why don't you come after that about 3 weeks later when I get settled? And I said, well, why don't I come and help you get moved? And
he did.
And I did.
And he worked hard. And everybody who met him said, don't you let this guy go.
and we did it in 100-degree plus temperatures.
It was horrible, but
Spokane has this event every summer called Hoop Fest. Basketball is huge here. Gonzaga University, great basketball school. And so it's this big 3-on-3 tournament that they just fill the downtown streets with and turn them into basketball courts.
That's right. It was Hoop Fest.
It was Hoop Fest.
Oh.
And the day I made, I was supposed to catch a flight that afternoon. I turned on ESPN that was covering the Hoop Fest thing. And they said it was so hot that if you were standing in the same place too long downtown, your sneakers would melt to the pavement.
It was hot.
So, yeah.
Yeah, he was a trooper.
That's what I came and helped her move in.
Yeah,
so
that's when I really knew this guy's special.
But
so eventually you moved up to Spokane. So
yeah.
Why did you decide to move to Spokane instead of Kathleen moving to LA?
Well,
Oops, you're frozen again.
here we are. My daughter was going to school at Sarah Lawrence College back east, just north of New York at that time. And she was in the middle of her junior year. And she was talking about sticking around New York after graduation. And the things that were keeping me in LA just weren't there and didn't seem so important. Of all the things that I was taking with me from the entertainment industry, the only thing I really cared about was the writing. And you can do that anywhere.
And as an artist and a jazz singer, moving to LA would have been really fortuitous for me. And I knew that. I loved it. He had a beautiful apartment that I got lost in, and it was near the ocean. And so it would have been great. But like I said before, I was taking care of my mother. And my son was also, his wife, they were having their first baby. And so I just said, I need to be here. And he came up and fell in love with my family, and they fell in love with him. And
yeah, she's been here all but a few years of her life, and she's very well known and very well loved. And so I was nicely accepted into the city and all her friends. And so I've really enjoyed Spokane a lot. The Inland Northwest is a wonderful area. I'm an outdoor person, and there's just any direction you go, you drive 20 minutes out of town and you're someplace different and incredible.
Definitely. All of Washington.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
lives on the other side of the state. Kate does. She
Ah.
lives
Well,
over.
I used to.
Oh, did you move?
Yeah, I moved to Arizona,
Oh, good for you.
Where you at?
south of Tucson.
My sister lives in Tubac.
Yes, that's a wonderful little art community. I just went
What?
there.
He owns an art gallery. You should go in. It's called On the Edge Art Gallery. She and her partner, Barbara, own that gallery. So go in and say hi.
I will. I have another message to deliver down there from someone who used to live there. So I'll
Perfect.
do that.
Awesome.
So that was like, I don't know, was it 5 or 6 years ago?
It will be 6 years, April 30th.
Okay, so I'm not sure when we connected. I think it was during your heart phase, because I do remember that. But you know, I watched all this progress, you know, on Facebook of, you know, the romance, and Mark was coming up, and, you know, just the whole story unfolding. And then, you know, going into 2020, you guys were planning your wedding.
It's the ring.
Yes. So, with everything that's happened in the past year, you know, how have you guys navigated that? I know the wedding got postponed a couple times, and
4, well, 5 if you
5 if you count this last one.
yeah, everything's gotten, you know, changed around. I mean, there's just been, you know, living and working in the same place and all of that. So,
well, first was his my mother passed away, and then his father passed away, and then we've had the pandemic, and yeah, and so we lived together and worked together as creative human beings, but also within our company, building our business 24/7. And we have developed some, I think, helpful tools that maybe we could pass on to people who are struggling through the pandemic as couples, because there's a lot of people who are really struggling being together with their spouse or their family, you know, so much. And so we have some things that have worked for us that help keep us sane and keep us liking each other, loving each other. But yeah, as far as the wedding, what's going on with the wedding, honey?
Kate, are you qualified to
marry people?
do the ceremony for us? We could do this right now.
It isn't something I've posted, but I am an ordained minister. So yes.
All right. Well, I took the liberty of writing some vows. Honey, if you just
you know, I heard that you guys wanted this wedding with all of your guests here.
It's not, I don't see how it can happen. Do you? I just don't know.
Well,
we had like 300 guests, live music, Roaring 20s theme where everyone was going to wear a costume, everything that we paid for, the photographer, we have a caterer, we had everything. It was going to be great. But
we had dates in May, then July, then October,
and then May again.
And so I think we're just gonna maybe do it in the living room in front of the fireplace, and then have a party later on, you know.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. I don't know.
That can work. I mean, or you know, do it for yourselves, and then have a ceremony where you invite people in a big party when it's safe.
A reenactment.
Yes.
Yes. Not the wedding, but an incredible facsimile.
Yeah, or you know, like I think of most weddings, sometimes people enjoy the reception
Oh, absolutely.
more than the wedding.
Right. That's about the party, and I've got the dress. He's got the suit. We've got everything.
Oh,
We've
we-
got everything. We have our garages filled with vases and decorations and platters, and yeah, I don't know. It'll all become evident as time goes by. But I wonder, would this be a good time for us to share some of the things that we do to keep ourselves
Yes,
safe?
yes,
Okay.
that's great, because I know that a lot of couples, married or not, are going through stress, growth, a lot of different things during this time.
Well, I know that this isn't a foreign concept to you, but for some, it's like managing your thoughts and how those thoughts become words and those words become actions and how that progresses. And you know that this was the thing I was thinking earlier. The 5-second rule that Mel Robbins has, about do it, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, make that decision. Well, we recently learned that there's a 5-second rule that attaches an emotion to a thought. And that once you have that thought, you have 5 seconds to decide whether or not you're going to attach that emotion. And usually it's a negative emotion if you're going to attach that or decide not to. So that's one thing, to be mindful of that when you have a thought like, why did he leave his socks there when
Hello?
Yeah, you're popping in and out. We're popping in and out. I'm not sure what that
I'm not
is.
sure if it's your weather or my weather.
Well, we have a Arctic cold front come through.
Yeah, it's probably you then, because it
Yeah.
was windy a little earlier, but I see it's really not right now.
It's really cold here. So being mindful of that is really helpful, that when you have that thought, just to be aware that, okay, am I going to attach my emotion to that or not? So there you are, deciding whether or not you're going to play the game. And we also, through some mentoring, learned this concept of the triangle, where there's this game of I'm a victim, or I'm the bully, or I'm the rescuer, which is usually the one that says, whatever you say, darling, and you never get it dealt with, right? So you can either get into that game and then go round and round of who's the bully, until someone says enough, right? So there's that. But then there's another thing that we do for each other that is very kind. And and then with the triangle thing, we use the word grace. It's like, if we find ourselves in that triangle of victim and bully and rescuer, one of us hopefully will have the mindset to say grace. And then it kind of knocks you out of that game, and you realize, and so then you get to discuss what's really going on. But one of the main things that we have, I'll let Mark explain to you about mindset as well with words.
Well, as you were talking at the beginning of the show, and I know that your show is very much about this, is that we're at a time as human beings on the planet, that it's time to start taking personal responsibility for what is our innate nature as co-creator beings, and the thoughts that we think, the feelings that we allow ourselves to feel and indulge in, the actions that those turn into, and then the person that we view ourselves to be as a result of all of those things. You can either have them working for you or against you. And because it's happening, it's going on, you can't go, oh, well, I don't want to play that game, because you're playing it whether you like it or not. And so one thing that attracted us to each other also is that, we both haven't just decided, oh, well, I'm who I am and I'm going to be this and I always have been, and so don't try and change me. And
That's not who we
that's
are.
not who we are. You know, we want to keep growing and being and doing and giving.
So we have an agreement with each other when someone says something. When I say, gosh, you know, I just can't believe that happened. And you will say,
Note.
note. So that's like our safe word. If somebody says something, one of us says something that is in alignment with who we are and who we intend to be, and that is professing something on the negative rather than the positive, we have permission to just say note. And we can be in a crowded room with other people. Well, not lately, but you know what I mean? We can be around others, and we can be around our kids or whatever. And he'll just, I don't even realize I'm saying it. Okay, I'm back. And I'll say, well, what did I say? And he will say, you said blah, blah, blah. And I'll go, oh, God, I did, didn't I? Well, how could I have phrased it differently? And so then we're in a discussion of how next time, you know, I'm having this feeling rather than projecting the negative, I'm projecting something much more positive and healthy and nurturing to the relationship and to myself as well. And I do that for him as well.
Yes, that's actually great. One of the interesting, I guess, and kind of great things about you guys' relationship is that you are finding love again in your 60s.
Yes,
Yeah.
he's 65. I'll be 68 on Friday.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know.
I know so many people who say, well, you know, I'm in my 50s. I'm in, you know, I'm too old. I'm not going to find anybody now. And maybe that isn't true.
Look at that. Yeah, I know. That's
Maybe.
probably what I hear more than anything from my girlfriends on Facebook, is giving me hope that I can find love again, or that there's still hope for me. And that gives us both so much joy.
Yes. And, you know, hearing you guys' story, and it isn't really different just because you're older.
No.
No, it's very much the same as
We're still
junior high school.
We're still as stupid.
Yes.
We're still as goofy. Yeah.
It still feels good in the same way, and then it can hurt in the same way when
Yeah.
your heart's on the line, you know?
Yeah, that's a
And-
good.
But the good thing is that you guys, you know so much more than you did when you were in
Well,
high school.
This is true. We have that experience behind us. And when we were in that separation state where we were talking like 5 hours on the phone, like 7th graders, and I forgot what he looked like, and then he'd send me a picture. I go, oh yeah, that's right. You know, but we got to really know each other's hearts and minds before, you know, there was any kind of physical thing that was brought into the picture. And I think that was very foundational for us. My mother used to say, you're going to get sick if you keep talking to that boy all night. I'm like, Mom, he's 60 years old, but okay. But, you know, it's like, you hang up. No, you. We really were like kids. Yeah. Yeah. And here we were in our 60s. It was beautiful. It still is beautiful. We still have.
You know how to communicate now, and that makes a big difference.
Well, I think what makes a difference that we're both are communicators. You know, I know people in their 60s who have a hard time communicating. And I have to say that that's also one of the things that has really helped keep our relationship fresh and alive, is that I'm actually, Kate, the one that when I feel wounded or disrespected, I go, you know, and I back off and I just get quiet. He's the one that will seek me out after he's given me some time, of course, and get it on the table and discussed through. And he likes women, which is really a benefit. He seems to understand them pretty well. He's got a lot of female friends, but he also has sisters and was very close to his mother.
I've been blessed to have a lot of wonderful women in my life. So
So that
That's
helps
good.
because in our
You're
communication.
I won't say that it's typical of men not to be good communicators, but a lot of them seem to be a little bit afraid or intimidated by communication.
Well, the bigger they are, the harder they fall, you know. They really are into self-protection. I knew that from experience.
Yeah. So it's great that you guys have that. So I am really, sorry that this pandemic happened and
Me
ruined
too.
all those wonderful wedding plans, but
Um,
that your relationship survived, and all of your plans are still maybe different, but still moving forward.
yeah. We I think I probably am the one that expresses more disappointment than he does, but I know he's really disappointed too. And a lot of that is to do that he's never had a wedding. You know, he had a daughter and helped raise her and is very close to her, but he's never had a wedding, been married legally. And so, when we first started the wedding, he was very involved in every decision. And it was, it was a very big deal. And I think that the pandemic has kind of taken the wind out of our sails about some
well,
of
I
it.
wouldn't. It's just made me think differently. We're probably going to do something quiet and small at home in the next few months, and that's just because we want to be married. We want to get married.
Yeah.
And I realized that we'll have a big celebration for people after this is all over, and when it's an appropriate time, and we can do it the way we want to do it. But we got a little carried away with people wanted to come, and we said, okay, well,
It got bigger and bigger and bigger.
and
Yeah. And they do get really expensive, and
Oh yeah.
all the details. It can drive you a little crazy.
we actually had it well in hand. It was,
Yeah.
in fact, you had that Facebook memory pop up.
Oh, today this memory popped up on my Facebook, and I got to read it. Oh my gosh, Kate. And I just roared laughing, and I showed it to Mark, and he roared laughing too. You know how they send you memories today, a year ago, this happened. Well, This is what happened. Here it is right here.
Well, you're going to have to tell us, because
I will. I just want to show you. It said, I was a post that I had made.
Hello?
Was on that. Good job. Thanks. And I wrote, and then guess what happened?
So you were frozen during the main part of that.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I'm so sorry. It said, it's absolutely nuts how fast and smoothly all of our wedding plans are falling into place. If you have been praying for us on that, good job and thanks.
Yeah.
That was 1 year ago today.
Yeah.
And then I know what happened.
Yeah. I said, and then guess what happened? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. We had it all figured out, and then nature took its course, and here we are. But we really do enjoy being with each other, and it's
At
fun.
least it happened to us all at once. So
Right? Oh yeah.
there's
We're
a
all
lot
in this together. We really are. We really are.
Yeah. We've discovered so many, ways of communicating, and the things that are most important.
Yeah.
I'm actually having a little bit more connection to some of my family members that live at a distance through this, just because everybody's gotten used to being on Zoom. And thank God for all the technology that we can be in touch with each other. Imagine going through this without that. You know,
Yeah.
that would be truly sad.
Yeah.
And I think it's not gonna go back to the way things were a year and a half ago. It's just,
No, I don't think it's going to go completely back, but we'll have to see what the future looks like.
Well, we just count ourselves really blessed that we do have our health and we do have each other. We enjoy each other's company. You know, we have a future to plan still and think about. We have friends who have gotten very sick and some have not survived. We have friends who have lost their spouses to another person who they met online because they were unhappy, you know, and we have a lot of stories around us that are not as you know, positive as our story. And so we're really grateful that you give us a chance to share our story, Kate, with everyone, because hopefully it gives some hope to some people. You know, we're certainly not here to go da 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 da. Look at us. How do you like us now? You know, but more of a, you know, this is doable.
Yes, and I know you're both really passionate about your business. And
Oh,
you know, you do look like you're getting younger all the time. So
it's an anti-aging technology that I swear is the fountain of youth. I've never felt I think, yeah, for 68, I think I'm doing okay.
yes, definitely. So
Well,
I have a couple of last, go ahead, Mark.
I was just going to say it's also very rewarding, and it's helping people all around the world, and it's a high integrity company, and we just feel good and blessed to be representing it. We're able to work from home wherever we are with just a cell phone and an internet connection. So we've been real busy, and we've enjoyed knowing that we're helping other people in multiple ways. So
yeah, if we can help everybody get food on the table and keep from losing their home, it's just a good day for us.
Yes. So I have a couple of last questions for you guys. One is kind of unrelated to the whole topic, but I've been asking all my guests lately. So what has surprised you most about life so far?
What has surprised me most about life so far is, oh my gosh, I've been so surprised this last couple of years. I've had a lot of aha moments. And for me, I'd have to say that I can control my thoughts and that my thoughts can change my life because of my ability to pay attention to what I'm thinking and control that, change that, you know, thought. Before I go to bed at night, I repeat words of beauty and innocence and integrity and all these things. Just the words, I just repeat them. I don't know if you know about Dr. Emoto's book, Messages in Water, but you know those words, and we're like 75% water. So I figure, hey, can't hurt. And what I've found is that I fall asleep really fast, and I feel like it's making a big difference in my life. So that's the biggest thing, is that my thoughts really do have an impact on me physically, mentally, emotionally, and my environment.
Okay. So do you have anything to add on that?
Yeah. The biggest surprise in life so far, when I was young, you know, growing up, I was homesick the day that President Kennedy was assassinated. And remember Walter Cronkite cutting in to something like Queen for a Day was on the TV. And I realized that, and I remember having to hide under the desk, you know, during the Cold War. And I thought, this is a horrible world. There's something painful just about existing in this screwed up world that has now the capacity to destroy itself completely in an afternoon. And I lived a long time with this idea that there's an inherent pain to life. and it was an obstacle for me in a lot of ways. But in the last 7 years or so, I've gone through a transformation where I'm recognizing a lot more beauty, and I'm learning to be the master of my own soul in a better way. And with us coming into this Aquarian age, I think our future is going to be about bio-spiritual artistry. And
Okay, well, we'll have to talk another time about what
that's,
means.
yeah, I'm not going to go off into
That's a lot
that,
to unpack,
but
isn't it?
Yes, I'm sure that
It's-
there's a lot
I'm-
behind that, so I'm not going to ask you because we don't have enough time.
sure.
And I have one more
But,
question for you guys.
My point is I'm living more from my heart and less from my head. And I'm excited about the future. Even
Great.
in this, as crazy as the world looks right now, as polarized as things seem in this country, I am an optimist.
Absolutely glad to hear that. Yes, we all need that.
Mhm.
So the last question is, if you could leave the listeners with one thought from today's show, what would that be?
Don't give up hope. Don't give up hope. Always keep your dream alive, because anything's possible.
Don't be afraid to love. In fact, be the love.
Okay,
Aw.
great. Yes, good advice. So to finish up, if people want to get in touch with you, either because they're excited about your story, or they want to know more about your business or the other things that you do in your life, how would they get in touch?
We have an email they can write us at. It's called hello@katandmark.biz. And we can send them information about our business, or they can go to just www.katandmark.biz.
Okay.
They can
All
learn
right.
about what we do there.
Yes, and if you forget that, it is posted on the radio website, soulfireradio.com, under guests, and just scroll down to their name and their contact information is there.
Thank you.
So thank you so much, you guys. It's good to see you, and
Good to see you,
good to
Kate.
hear your story and some of the parts that I didn't know.
I'm sure we shared a lot more than you needed to know.
No,
We're kind of good at that.
we could probably talk for a while longer, but
Oh, easy.
you know, the show I do plan it to fit into certain time slots. So.
Absolutely.
Well, we're really honored that you picked us to spend today with. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's good to
Okay.
see you. You look well.
Thank you for being here, and I hope the weather gets a little warmer up there.
Well, we've had a mild winter to this point, so it's about time we got some cold.
Yeah, it's cold though. Well, you have fun in Arizona and stay in touch.
Yes. So we have a great show planned for next week. Next week, my guest will be Dr. Shannon Barnes, and she is a counseling psychologist. She's an author, and she's also an artist, but she's just embarked on her second love, or her second passion, I should say. Her husband, Mike, is actually her other love, but she just bought an art gallery. So we are going to talk about this is actually a dream of hers, and so we're going to talk about how that all came about, because I met her 5 years ago when we were both speakers at the Personal Development Symposium. And I met her then, and then we were on Facebook together. And I remember her posting that she was afraid to post her own art that she did. And she finally did, and people loved it. And then she finally did her own show, and now she's a art gallery owner. So she's just, grown into her dreams, and we're going to hear her story. So be sure to tune in next Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific time. And thank you again, Kat and Mark.
Thank you.
And I'm just going to say bye for now.
Thank you for listening to Soul Fire Wisdom with Kate Olson. We hope you enjoyed the show. If we made you laugh, brightened your day, or sparked a new thought, we have succeeded in our mission. Join us next time when we'll share more secrets and truths and all the magic of transformation that is the journey to Soul Fire Wisdom. Always remember, be fierce in the pursuit of what sets your soul on fire.